The moment Captain Ibrahim Traoré entered the United Nations General Assembly, the atmosphere changed. Delegates who were whispering suddenly went silent. Conversations died mid-sentence. Eyes turned. The young revolutionary leader from Burkina Faso didn't arrive like a politician, he came like a storm. With no entourage of lobbyists or PR handlers, he walked in with the quiet intensity of a man who knew exactly what he came to say and didn't care who liked it. He wasn't there for applause. He was there to deliver a warning that would shake the pillars of power. Not a speech. A reckoning. As he approached the podium, there was a tension in the air that no one could explain. His military uniform, raw, unpolished, unbought, stood in contrast to the tailored suits of world leaders who had spent their lives polishing lies. There were no smiling photo ops. No false diplomacy. Only truth about to be dropped like a missile. Cameras locked onto him. Journalists stopped typing. Even the translators hesitated. The world didn't know it yet, but they were about to hear a voice that couldn't be muted by sanctions, spin, or fear. Then it happened. Without a teleprompter. Without a script. Without even blinking, Traoré locked eyes with Netanyahu across the chamber. And what he did next was unlike anything ever witnessed at the United Nations. He broke every rule of silence. Every unspoken agreement of global hypocrisy. Every line of so-called decorum was shattered in a single moment. He didn't greet anyone. He didn't play politics. He went straight for the heart of global injustice with a voice sharp enough to cut steel. He pointed out the contradiction that billions have whispered but no leader dared say aloud. He called out the bombs dropped in the name of security. He exposed the genocide hidden behind words like defense. He stared down the Prime Minister of Israel not with hate, but with the cold fury of a man who carries the weight of colonized nations on his shoulders. And then, without raising his voice, he declared that the silence of Africa is over. That the days of watching quietly while innocents die are gone. That this is no longer a world where the powerful speak and the oppressed must listen. In that moment, the chamber stopped breathing. No one had ever dared speak to Netanyahu like that on the record, in that building, in front of the entire world. Traoré didn't ask questions. He made statements carved in stone. His tone wasn't loud, it was lethal. There was no hesitation. No compromise. He exposed every double standard, every lie, every game. His words didn't shake the room. They cracked its foundation. This wasn't just a speech. It was a declaration of awakening from a continent the West tried to bury under poverty, coups, and puppet regimes. He spoke not just for Burkina Faso. He spoke for Mali. For Niger. For Congo. For Palestine. For every child buried under rubble and every mother wailing in the night. He spoke for those who have no voice, and made sure the world would hear them screaming through him. His words thundered without volume. He said what every colonized nation wanted to say for 100 years, but had no stage or shield to say it from. Until now. And in that moment, Traoré became more than a leader. He became a symbol. His face was unreadable. Not out of arrogance but clarity. He didn't come to be liked. He came to deliver justice with words sharper than missiles. He confronted Netanyahu not as an enemy, but as a man who refuses to let silence justify slaughter. He didn't debate policy. He indicted an entire system. He looked the man responsible for so much pain in Gaza in the eye and showed no fear. No compromise. No shaking hands. Just raw, undeniable truth. Every diplomat in the room knew history had just changed. Some lowered their eyes. Others exchanged nervous glances. And yet, Traoré stood alone, not needing a single ally in the room. Because truth doesn't beg for allies. It demands attention. Netanyahu didn't interrupt. He couldn't. Because even he knew this wasn't a debate, it was Judgment Day. The words final warning weren't a threat. They were a line in the sand, written not with ink, but with the blood of the innocent. What stunned the world wasn't just what Traoré said, it was that he said it without fear of consequence. He knew the cameras were rolling. He knew the headlines would twist his message. But he also knew millions across the world would finally feel seen, heard, represented. It was not about political gain. It was about moral duty. It was about saying the truth so loudly and so clearly that it could never be buried again. This confrontation wasn't between two leaders. It was between two worlds. One built on exploitation. One rising from the ashes. One armed with propaganda. One armed with conviction. One terrified of truth. One ready to die for it. And when Traoré left that podium, he didn't look back. Because men like him don't need validation. The fire he lit would burn across continents. The confrontation wasn't loud. But its silence was deafening.